I'm Tamika D. Mallory.
And it's your boy Mysonne the General.
We are your host of TMI.
Tamika and Mysonne's information, truth, motivation, and inspiration.
New name, new energy, but
same old us. What's up, Tamika D. Mallory? How you doing today?
I'm doing good, my son. And how are you?
I'm doing better. It has been a rough week, but now I'm coming to terms with the reality of what we're dealing with. And, you know, I got my mojo, and I'm ready to go. You know?
Yeah, me too. I'm good. You know, I feel like I am putting into practice things that I've learned since that horrific burnout that landed me in rehab, right? And, you know, the trauma and everything that I experienced, I talk about what I learned and how I came out of it. But oftentimes, as time goes on and you have different experiences and you live in life, we often forget about things. It's like when you drink too much and then you're like, God, I promise you, if you would just help me get over this, I promise I won't drink as much next time. Oh, no, that's it. It's my last time. And then, of course, 5 times later, maybe even the next day, people go back to some of their old ways that, you know, we revert. And so I've had to be mindful of that in this moment. And I write about it in my book, my new book.
Yes.
Copy. Look at
I
that.
live to tell the story.
I live to tell the story.
Dope.
And that's a real thing. I live to tell the story. And the story goes, and I say that I'm going to fight for freedom until I die. But this time, freedom includes me. Right? And so with that being said, I cannot allow myself to go back to where I was in 2019 to 98 pounds, even though I wish I could get to 98 pounds now, shoot, on my own without being stressed out. But that's a whole different day's topic. Not 98 pounds, but you get my point.
I guess.
You get my point. So I can't allow that to happen. So I'm not going to allow myself to drown. I feel it. I know where we are. And I think what is very frustrating is watching people wake up knowing that, like, we said this. We said all of this. And had been saying it before an election.
Yeah.
That's the other thing. I just want to make sure that that's clear. We've been saying a lot of this stuff before an election.
Definitely way before an election. But listen, how do people get this book? When does it drop? Like, don't
February.
This is our show.
People already know. They already know because I be telling them every other day. It's February 11th.
Yes. You can pre-order
my first event is February 6th.
Okay.
In Louisville, Kentucky. It is extremely humbling. And it's such a proud moment for me to go to Louisville. And have my friends, Sadiqa Reynolds and attorney Lanita Baker, to be the host of my first public event. It's actually before my book comes out. It's a pre-event. It's the first event. And it means so much because you know what we went through in Louisville. Yeah. You know that. And
that's family.
Well, and Louisville was right after I came out of rehab, right? I mean, right before, excuse me. Louisville, let me say that again. Louisville was right before I came out of rehab, right? Because 2019, and then we went there in 2020. I was still a mess. I was still trying to piece myself back together. I was still dealing with shame. I, didn't know exactly what I was going to do, which direction to go in. I had so much going on. And when Ben Crump called me, all of that's in this book, about, Breonna Taylor, we went. And so these are people that we've only known for 5 years. But it seems like and it's not even 5 years yet, but it seems like we've known them for a lifetime. Yeah. And they became our sisters. Tamika Palmer, she's one of the hosts as well of the event. And so I'm just like, wow, this book has been.
I love the cover. Show the.
Oh, this is this is my vision.
It's the duality, all right? Yeah. It's the duality from, you know, the braids to the long hair, and it's just.
And this is actually the housing projects that I grew up in. People probably can't
Oh, I
see
can't
it,
even realize
but
that. Okay, that's the
Manhattanville
project.
housing projects. Yep.
Oh,
You know.
okay.
So anyway, this book was a lot to get out. I always say that it's like I'm right now I'm in the delivery process. Like I already have my date scheduled. It's February 11th. I know we're gonna have the baby that day. It's coming out. And all the terrible things, the what do you have with morning sickness, you nauseous, can't eat, can't rest, can't whatever. Most of those things have subsided at this point from this book, except, you know, trying to get the tour done and the sales where they need to be. That kind of feels like the part when you need the body pillow. Look at Janice is looking like, yes, Janice, who is our director of everything over there. She's looking like, yes. So I'm in that stage, but it's pretty much I'm in the sailing part. We know the baby is coming and when, but it was a lot to get this done. The stories that I'm telling in this book, I wish I could take like 5 of them out because I don't know what I must have been like. I don't know.
Just telling your life.
I must
telling
have
all your
smoked some
business.
weed or something that day and just went the. So, but I'm glad that it's out here. I know that this book is going to help somebody.
Well, I look forward to reading it today, you know, because I got my little copy.
Got you a copy.
And I'm going to read it, but I'm proud of you. And please make sure that y'all go out, pre-order. Make sure that you're at every event on the tour. Show out, show up. Make sure that you support this woman because the way she fights for black people is undeniable.
Yeah, so. Well, and also make sure that you get Mysonne's book. Your last
I got a couple. Yes,
Your last one is called.
It's called Echoes in the Streets.
Echoes in the Streets,
and it's about gun violence. The stories about gun violence within the inner communities, in the cities, and it breaks down different ways and strategies that community and youth can come together and stop gun violence. So there's really, really strong stories inside. So shout out to my partner and publisher, Hedrick McBride.
That's right. So, you know, wherever you buy books, black bookstores, very important. Barnes and Nobles also. Please pick up a pre-order copy. I know how we as black folks, especially how we are. We want to touch the thing. We don't want to buy anything and wait for it to come. I remember when we were out getting people to the polls, and I was like, you're not going to early vote? Like, you could go vote today. They were like, I don't vote early. I want my vote on the day. I'm like, but you got to stand online. I don't care. I want my vote on the day.
That's part of the process.
That's sometimes how we are. That's how we operate. Yeah. But in the publishing world, and shout out to my publisher, Black Privilege Publishing, Charlemagne the Guy, Atria, and the Simon & Schuster family. But when in the publishing world, authors need pre-sales. That's very helpful in terms of how their books get out the barn. You know, it's like when you in a race, you don't try to like take off or slow. You coming out moving.
That's right.
You coming out moving. So that's what we need. So you can go to TamikaDMallory.com. That's TamikaDMallory.com. And you can find out all the things, how to purchase the book, where the tour is going. The 6th, we're in Louisville, Kentucky. The 9th, I'm at Jamal Bryant's church, New Birth Baptist Church in Atlanta, Georgia. The 11th, actually the 13th, the 11th, I got something going on, but I ain't really talking about it too much. If you know me and you want to come to what I'm doing on the 11th, holla. But on the 13th, we're at the New York Public Library on 5th Avenue in Manhattan. I'm going to be with Jamani Williams, the public advocate, and Janelle Aggie, who is the executive director of editing at Ebony Magazine. I mean, then that's the 13th. The 18th, I'm in Washington, D.C. at Politics and Prose. Then I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma, our family there. The Crutcher family, and also Kim Roxy of Lamique Beauty. And then, also in New Orleans, we're at Baldwin and Company. I think that's on the 20th. But don't listen to me. Go to the website and look it up for yourself. Jacksonville, Florida on the 22nd. We have a full schedule of things that we'll be doing all of February, all of March. And I'm really, really excited. I didn't get to do this with my first book. We were at home, although I had a star-studded release from my first book. We had everybody. We had panels and discussions online that included everybody from Taraji P. Henson to Tiffany Haddish. Of course, Charlemagne was helping to host some stuff. You helped to host things. Linda Sarsour was involved. I mean, I could go on. Alicia Keys, did panels and discussions with me. So it's not that we did not have a good amount of people who were supportive, but everybody was at home.
Yep, it was
now
pandemic.
I'm going outside.
Now you outside with it, man.
That's
So
it.
I definitely, I know it's going to be a good book, and I know that people are going to love it because it's so authentic and raw. Like every time you talk about it, you got a tear in your eyes, and everybody that's read it so far has tears in their eyes.
Yeah.
So I make sure that you go out and get the book. Yes.
Thank you.
And the news for me, yesterday was my youngest son, Keston's birthday. Happy birthday, Keston. He turned 11 yesterday, and we had a ball. Took him out to Humdinger's, this place he likes with his friends. So I enjoyed that. It's crazy.
Dad. You
It's
got
crazy.
3 sons and a grandson.
I'm a G-pop.
Yeah, you're a G-pop.
I'm a G-pop. But Keston is like, he's an empath. He's a very intelligent young boy, and he picks up on everything. Like he knows what you're thinking. He knows how you're feeling. You know, he's very passionate about things. He messed up his foot last weekend, playing soccer. And he had a game the next day he couldn't make it to. He was up all night trying to heal himself.
Together.
He was soaking his ankle. He was putting alcohol. He put Vicks on his leg. Anything you could think of, he was trying to make it to that game. He did not want to let down that team. He woke up at 8 o'clock in that morning and was like, tried it again. He was just like, nah, Dad. He's still been limping. So I made a little joke. I've been calling him Young Peg Leg, and he hates that.
Don't do that.
So, but I play with.
Why do parents put labels
because
like
it's a joke.
Black people just
we can have a
better.
joke with our God. Y'all want listen. Everything is not so serious.
No, but it's not that. It's that injuries sometimes make people feel already, especially like you said, he can't play. He already's feeling a way about that, and then you over here putting a label on him that makes him feel.
He laughed it off. Sometimes he doesn't like it, but
he
sometimes
doesn't like it.
He likes it sometimes.
Okay,
Young peg leg is fine. He'll be good.
But you know that there are people who really have peg legs, and it's kind of like you saying that to him. It's like saying,
well, it's the you know what, the reason why I call him because he limps like he has one.
Yeah, but you do
he
know
looks
that
like
that's not really.
It looks like he has like a little pirate sometimes when his leg starts hurting.
Very much so,
but
disregarding the people who have real.
It ain't got nothing to do with those. I'm talking about my son. You talking about these people.
I'm just trying
this
to
ain't
tell
got nothing to do. This is not to offend anybody else. It's a joke that I have with my son. Right? So please do not personalize it.
So now when he goes out and calls somebody who actually has a peg leg, although he probably won't do that.
Because he will never do that. Because I would never do that. I made a joke with him about his little foot being hurt.
I'm
and
not
little
gonna,
limp that
I'm
he
not
had.
going to argue.
Yeah, how about that? Let's not argue with
I'm
that.
not.
Once again,
I'm not.
happy birthday to my son,
Happy
Keston.
birthday.
I love you
right.
the most.
Listen, if my granddaughter was being pushed in the swing, and when she said something, but her father was also talking to our whole family on FaceTime, because we literally have everybody possible on a FaceTime whenever he wants to show Blair, and he hits a thing, and then everybody goes on and go, "Hi, Blair, we love you." Da, da, da. She's the star of the show. So he was pushing her, and he pushed her one time, and she said something, but he didn't know what she said, and her mom was there also. So he said, "What did you say? What did she say?" So her mom says she said, "Do it again, or do it one more time," or something like that. And so he goes, "She didn't say that." Now, she was probably talking kind of baby gibberish, but a mother's gonna understand her child. We don't care. You could be talking backwards, and a mother's gonna be like, "I know exactly what that means." So he said, "She didn't say that." And Blair goes, "Yes." She's 2 years old.
She know what she talking about?
She's 2.
Yeah, do it
She
again.
said, yes. Like, mommy is right. I just do it
100%.
again. I might not have said it exactly, but that's what I meant.
Yeah. Listen, she wants y'all to understand And she knows what she wants for herself.
She does.
And she wants you to understand that she's expressing
She
herself.
does.
And her mama understood exactly what happened.
That's exactly right. That's why
beautiful.
I love her mother, because her mother, they are. We talk about this all the time. These kids' parents are amazing.
No, they're serious about
It's
parenting.
not like when we was parents.
That's one thing I say about these kids. My son is serious about being a father to his son.
These kids,
he do not play
parents.
about his son.
Now they can have all kind of other things.
Now they crazy
going on.
otherwise.
But them kids, they serious about them kids. They good
Well,
parents.
that's a testament to parenting.
It
that
is.
they see they either they feel like something didn't happen that they want to happen, or they seen something happen that they want to continue to happen.
No, later on they're gonna realize we weren't as bad as they think.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
I think what happens is they realize it now because they realize all of the pressure and stuff that they under, and then they like, damn, I didn't even know you went through this.
Yeah, because it's hard.
It's hard.
It's
Parenting
very
is
hard.
very,
it's very hard. It's very hard. It's very hard. And speaking of hard things, there's a lot of hard things happening in our world.
Lord have mercy.
And
we gotta get to that, huh?
I've only made one post, maybe two, about the Target situation, and just overall diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I am I've only made two posts maybe about it, maybe one. And then also I only said one thing, like on camera. But I thought about it and I listened for the last few days. I just listened. I was taking in all the different aspects because, we follow and are followed by all different types of people. We got the super radical blacks. We got the Pan-African blacks.
Mm-hmm.
We got the bougie black. We got the conservative
the
blacks.
Hoteps,
we have
everything.
Every kind of person, black person. We have somebody who is a part of that. Republicans, of course, Democrats or whatever, black women, black men, trolling
we got niggas
We
too.
got trolling.
Some niggas.
We have the trolls. We have the ignorant. We have all kinds of
those the
young.
Niggas.
We have young. We have different age groups. So we see a lot of things, and I follow a lot of different types of people. And I just listen. I said the one thing that I have learned in my leadership position is that I now don't, where I used to need to respond, I don't have to as quick, because the more information that I gather before speaking, I think it makes my voice more effective, more powerful. So I just sat back and I kind of listened. People sending me everything. Everybody sending me something. And I know that part of the reason why so many people are sending me so many different things is because folks know that I have not said, this is what I think we should do. And they want to try to not so much influence in a negative way, but just put their perspective in my
manner that they would like
in my thought process. And so, speaking of thoughts, today in my thought of the day, I really want to take the time, and we don't have a guest for this show because we just couldn't fit it with what we want to discuss. So I want to just start off by saying that so I want to put this at the beginning and the end as a bookmark. Tamika Mallory personally will not be shopping at Target. That's not going to happen.
Me neither.
I won't be going to Target. I have always and will continue to uplift black brands. I am a diehard supporter of black people in general, and I will continue to do that. But I personally will not be shopping in Target. Some people are saying Black History Month. Others are saying the first quarter. People have different ideas about it. I don't know when or if I will ever return. Mm-hmm. Our history is that when we leave a brand, we almost never go back. I looked at myself today and realized that I've been wearing my little Balenciaga sock sneakers. I was a Balenciaga person. Like, I liked Balenciaga. And then as soon as they start with the kids and the videos and the devil stuff and whatever, I don't know what was. I didn't even take the time to do but so much research about whatever that was, but it just didn't feel right to me. I didn't like the way it looked, and I didn't want to have anything to do with it. So I just packed up a bunch of Balenciaga stuff and just gave it away. I have like 2 sweaters, maybe 3 sweaters, and these little sock sneakers. So that's where I'm at with it, but I'm probably never going to be caught. And when I say caught, I don't mean like gotcha, but me personally walking into a store purchasing something from Balenciaga. That's just me. I gave up Gucci, and the blackface sweater, I did not like it. I felt, first of all, the impact to me, it was very, very disrespectful for people to even try to make the excuse that they did not know or that it wasn't exactly what we saw. Mm-hmm. And so I just decided that I was done with it. But then even if I would have said, well, maybe I'm overreacting, or maybe we need to educate them and it's going to get better, the way in which things rolled out after that, I didn't appreciate at all. So I just don't wear Gucci. But that's, everybody do their thing. Yeah. That's my personal thing. Then Kyrie Irving, Nike, they cut their contract with him. I cut Nike. So you cut Kyrie, I cut you. That's it. Simple. It wasn't hard decision. First, I was kind of like, what we doing? Everybody wears Nike. Then I realized it's not that serious. I don't have to wear Nike. There's a number of black brands, Actively Black being one of them. There's other
Shout
brands.
Shout out to Enzo. They just sent me a couple of pair of sneakers, new. Dope.
Saya Collector. I mean,
you could go get Kyrie's, the Antas. He got all kinds of flavors. So
there's a million things we can do, and we're gonna talk about that because distribution is very important, which is why this Target piece is so serious. Waffle House
ain't been back.
Ain't been back to Waffle House. I
Shout
don't
out
go
to
Waffle House.
Shakisha Clemens. She was on my page tearing somebody up this morning, talking about me.
Well,
she don't play. That's my little sis.
Shakisha Clemens was brutally attacked and derobed in a Waffle House because a white woman wanted to try to charge her for a plastic fork. And what they did to her was something that it wasn't acceptable. But what was worse was that Waffle House response wasn't even to respectfully say we apologize for what took place, and we don't condone the way in which our employee and the police officers came in here. They doubled down and acted like Shakisha Clemens was some type, like she was in there doing a robbery.
And then they actually took her to trial.
Right, and then tried to exactly. The police took her to trial to say she did something to them. So crazy. Waffle House been off my list.
Mine too.
Okay, so I'm saying Starbucks. Muslims said we're not going to Starbucks because of their support for. By the way, Starbucks has been around in a cycle on my list of people that I don't shop with, but specifically around Israel, Palestine, and the Palestinian people and Muslims in general, saying we do not support Starbucks because of their support for the Israeli government and what is happening. Unfortunately, whether you want to accept it or not, it's whose side are you on? That's just where we are, right? So Starbucks, I be dying of. I got a cold. I used to like the medicine ball. My stomach be growling. Some airports you go in, all they have is a little Starbucks counter, and you know what I do? Get me some water from a store and keep it moving. I don't go in Starbucks. I'm saying all of this to say to you all that I know that I'm different. I know I was cut from a certain cloth that is very, very different from most people. I know that when a school calls me up or a corporation calls me up and they get in touch with Toya and they say they want me to speak at a conference or they want me to participate in some type of program, but they tell me that I need to scrub my Instagram page or I need to not say these things or don't do this thing or don't wear this. And I'd say I can't do those things. And they telling me that it's $25,000 or it's $50,000 for 2 sessions or it's whatever. I have turned it down many times. I have had people call me on the phone and say to me, Tamika, your book is about to come out, or your this is about to happen, or y'all just, announced the rebranding of your show. You got all these things going on. Let's just leave that alone for now.
Yep.
And strategically, they might be right.
Mm-hmm.
Strategically, what they're saying is probably right, that if I just go dark, stay under the radar, and just, because there's different ways to work. You don't always
have to be in the front and loud.
Right. You can do things differently. I've had people say that to me. Hey, just, for that. But that's not who I am. So I have to take that into consideration whenever I'm out here speaking to other people, right, that we are not all at the same place. We're not all on the same level, and we're not all committed in the same way. Our sister Leslie Redmond said something so true yesterday. Leslie Redmond, who was the president of the Minneapolis chapter of the NAACP while we were there fighting for George Floyd. She said something yesterday that is so true. Most people don't want to be free. Mm-hmm. Most Black people don't want to be free. They want to be rich.
Mm. That's the fact.
And sometimes being rich looks like freedom.
Mm-hmm.
But if we know anything about that, Jay-Z said, still nigga. OJ and everybody. You can have lots of money and still be treated like a nigga. And so, not to say we should not acquire wealth, because we should. But wealth and freedom are not the same thing.
Yeah, it should be a balance. Right? And there should be real conversations. Like you said, when I looked at this whole Target situation, when I just look at the last 100 executive orders, right? And
100?
Yeah, there's been 100
I don't know.
executive orders signed in the last week.
Mm-hmm.
And when I'm looking at how these things actually roll back civil rights that have been established for the last 50, 60 years, and you really just sit there and think about this. And I say to myself, what are we willing to say? And I've heard all these people, they are, we have Black scholars and Black leaders that say that's good. We don't need DEI. We need to separate anyway. We need to do our own. And
I don't know too many scholars that saying that.
Well, I mean,
they think they scholars,
they believe
but I don't know too many that say that.
Okay, well, this is what they say. Dr. Claude Anderson has said, that we need to separate, and that's what it's going to take for us to do, is to build our own. And I do not disagree with those things, right? I do believe that we need to separate. I do believe that we need to build our own. But I do not believe that we should build it while we are experiencing injustice. I don't believe that we should make it okay for them to do negative things to us. I don't believe we should be okay. Since we need to separate, you don't have to give us what you owed us, right? We don't deserve the amount of reparations and things that we've earned in America. I believe we should be doing both ads. It's like I'm in jail and I'm filing for my appeal, right? But at the same time, trying to figure out if we got to break out and I got life inside of here and I got to break out, I'm going to do both of them at the same time. I'm just not going to file for my appeal. And if I'm locked up for life for a crime I didn't commit, so this is what I'm trying to tell you. So I want you to understand. We're inside of this is jail, right? For Black people, we living in America. We were sentenced to life in America, right? And we trying to figure out how do we get our freedom back? Because that's what it is. It's a lifetime bid in America. So how do we get our freedom back? Now, as I'm trying to search for my freedom, I know that America still owes me. So sure, I want reparations. I want repair. I want, what has been owed to our ancestors who built America on his back and was never compensated for it. We have built our own economies time and time throughout history, and they have destroyed it. They burnt it down. They've disenfranchised us over hundreds and hundreds of times. This is documented. So I do not, subscribe to the fact that what we asking for is a handout. We're not asking for handout. We're asking for what we owe. But in the meantime, we should be building our own economy. We should be building our own structure. We should try to separate and build out because everyone else has done that. But what I say when people say that to me is, what are you willing to sacrifice for it, right? Because the same people that are saying, yo, we don't want nothing from the white man and we don't want this, with the same people that are saying, well, we got a stimulus check, right? And they wanted to make it seem like that was okay, but that's not a handout, right? The same people that say that aren't willing to boycott. They aren't willing to stop spending their money with the people that's oppressing us. They don't want. They'll sit there and say, "Yeah, we don't need none of this," but you're not willing to make the sacrifices.
Well, it just depends. Okay, because I just want to make sure we put these things in little buckets. Because first of all, when you said they say Dr. Claude Anderson and others have said that we need to separate, right? And I don't know, like. I know that Dr. Claude Anderson teaches a lot about independence and all of that. But I would love for somebody to just show me where Dr. Anderson has said that Black people do not deserve a seat at corporate tables, a seat in institutions, that we should not have ourselves intertwined in systems where we are able to monitor what is happening with the millions of Black people who are coming through the stores, the banks, the colleges, the whatever. I do believe building our own is important. And I want to see us continue to do that, because I believe that there are a lot of people who are they're building sustainable communities. They're building, Black banks. You got Greenwood, which is Killer Mike's bank. You have people that are doing all of these things. And so we don't want to conflate them, because I know that's a group. Then, of course, you have the stimulus check. It was more money in my pocket people. But those people and these people are not the same people. And then you have the people who are in the middle who are like, to hell with everything. We don't need them for anything. Here's my thing even with that. Okay, I've been asking people all weekend. They said, well, we don't need anything from the white man. And by the way, I think anybody who's telling you that this moment, the executive orders and the things that's happening in this nation are not going to impact you, any Black person that says that to you, that it doesn't have to impact you or that it doesn't impact you, at least they are ignorant. And not ignorant in a negative way, but they don't know. At best, they are dangerous when they tell you that, because we are all living in a society that impacts every single one of us. Everything that happens, it impacts all of us, whether or not we realize it. Even when we talk about violence in our communities, we talk about, happiness in our communities. All of that is, in fact, influenced by what is happening in the atmosphere. Mm-hmm. So when you say that things don't impact people, it's a very dangerous statement to make, because it does. All politics are local. Mm-hmm. All politics are local.
And they affect everyone.
And they impact all of us. If you drive, you got to have gas. Okay? If the gas price is high, that's going to impact you. You want to put your children in schools, and all the things that you are doing every single day, even if you only do a little bit and you're more self-contained, you still will. If you breathe the air that's outside, if you don't have your own air, it is impacted by whatever chemicals are being put into the atmosphere or all of that. So I don't want to say that. I don't want people to tell you that policies don't impact all of us. But we also have to keep in mind that as we move about building our own, so you say we don't need Targets and Walmarts and all of these places, right? We don't need that. Mm-hmm. The average person in our community is not going to build our own. There's only going to be a few people who do it, and then people who funnel into it and help it to thrive, right? Mm-hmm. That's how it works. So if you live in a food desert and you don't really have transportation, while we're on a 5, 10, year process to building our own, which we should focus on rather than focusing so much on being on the internet telling everybody else, all of us, what we doing right, wrong, this, that, and the third. But if you building something 5-10 years, then how is JoJo going to eat? Where is he going to work right now?
And that's another conversation that I'm having when we have this conversation about boycotts and we talk about Target. You know, there's been this large conversation about there are black people vendors who have contracts with Target, and if we boycott Target, then it's going to hurt them, and we shouldn't do that. And I say to myself, there are hundreds and thousands of people who are going to be affected because of these policies that Target, and they're not going to have jobs. They're not going to have a way to survive. They don't have, the resources to be able to produce and be entrepreneurs. Their families are going to suffer. There are people who are in DI positions in major, stores and Target and all that. Their families are going to be completely wiped out.
Right. Well, okay.
This is a reality. They are people who are in positions.
Not just in Target.
No, I'm just saying
in government.
In everywhere. Right. So I'm saying Target because when we talk about we're targeting Target, there were DEI departments in Target that these workers were working at that no longer exist there.
Right. So I don't know.
There are some whole departments that have been wiped out.
But I don't know if Target has fired a bunch of people.
Well, if you're scaling back, if you're deciding that you no longer are invested in DEI, then where's the department going to be at?
Well, because, I don't know. We shouldn't. I don't know that they had a specific department where people are going to be let go. They may have reassigned people, given them new titles or whatever. I don't know if that has happened, but I can tell you that in government offices, that is definitely happening in educational institutions. That is happening. So I can't say in Target.
Okay, so what I'm saying is
in general,
just based off the policy,
the culture of DEI dismissal,
exactly, is going to disenfranchise thousands of black people.
More, maybe, and probably millions.
Probably millions. So what I'm trying to say is, are we saying that the 100 or 200 people who are important, that we're not saying they don't have value, but their finances supersede the cause of the many? Are we saying that we're willing to sacrifice the millions of people's livelihoods and just the law in establishing something that is
the respect of the masses? The respect
of the masses,
right.
and the law, just the impact that it's going to have, right? Because if you don't stand for something, then you're going to fall for anything. And if they can say, okay, we're just going to take that from y'all, and that's it, and there's no response, there's nothing for us to sacrifice. There's not enough of us that's willing to sacrifice so that 200 people can continue to thrive.
Might be more than that.
Or maybe 300. But I know it's in the hundreds. It ain't in the thousands.
They say it's thousands.
They saying that Target has contracts with thousands of black people.
It's not just black people.
I'm just asking.
Because diverse. I'm not saying. I don't ever want to use the term DEI. I want to say it completely: diversity, equity, and inclusion.
Yes.
Because when you say those words, it makes it clear what somebody is saying, that their model no longer fits. Yeah. Diversity, equity,
and inclusion.
Equity is what y'all on the internet, all the internet Negroes that know everything, that talk everything about why this one and that one is weak and this one ain't no good and this one don't know. Y'all are talking about equity, building equity, having more than enough for us to survive, right? So these companies are saying diversity, equity, and inclusion. So, to your point, it might be 1,000. It might be 1,000. It might be 1,500.
Okay, well, I don't.
But it's still not.
Maybe it's 1,000, but based on what I've been hearing, it's been hundreds.
A few hundred.
So a few hundreds of people. So what I'm trying to say is, I think I'm willing to sacrifice. I've sacrificed all the time, but like you said, I know that I'm built different. I know that there's a level of revolutionary in me that most people don't have. That's not like I was willing. Somebody did something to Kyrie, who somebody I had never met prior to that. But just that I identified with him in his struggle, I said that these hundreds of pair of sneakers that I have, I no longer need them. And I'm willing to throw them away because that's how strong I am in my conviction about saying fuck you. Because that's how I feel. Everybody is not going to do that. I understand that. But if we're not willing to, at the drop of a dime, say we're willing to stand on principle and lose whatever it takes to establish a level of respect amongst our culture, then we're going to find ourselves back at the same position. So a lot of people saying, well, we got to figure out how do we go about a boycott. We got to do this. And I'm all for strategy. But I understand that the longer we take to strategize, right, the longer we take, the more ground we lose, the more energy we lose. Right now, people are fired up. They're looking and saying, damn, this is happening in real time. Mm-hmm. So if what our leadership has to say, in our leadership, we have to say, listen, we got to understand who's with us and who's not with us. Because sometimes you lose time trying to bring somebody to your cause that ain't going to come with you anyway.
Well, I have multiple feelings about that. I think that, yes, we do have to move with the time. When you hear a cry from the community, or if you hear, just to give a better example, if you hear a cry from a baby, you want to go at least and look and address whatever it is. But if you know that the baby is crying out in the moment because they're hungry and the food is not prepared, you have to go let the baby cry for a little while you prepare a meal that is going to nourish them. But
the problem
right?
is the baby won't cry for too long. In these situations where we deal with in our communities, people have outrage for 1 week, in 2 weeks, and then what happened is the news cycle changes. Somebody talks about that this happened with Cardi B and this and that. People is on that.
Yeah, but but the thing about this time, Mice, I want to say to you that those people are going to drop off anyway. So that means that the people you're talking about are people who we would never be able to sustain anything with because they're not serious about or committed to it anyway, right? The purpose of planning and strategizing is that, and especially in this particular time period, they are not going to stop doing the things that they're doing. It's going to get worse. So there will be a need for a response that is not just about Target, but a response that is about all this shit that's happening. And how do we use our economic power to be our voices in the midst of a fascist government that is attempting to take away our rights and to make us second-class citizens? That's what we have to be thinking about. And so, yes, Target is now. And I am one of those people just like you. They ain't never got to call me since they don't want diversity. Damn it, I'm diverse. They don't want equity. I believe in equity. And they don't want inclusion. No problem.
Yeah,
you don't need. Well,
I don't even care. But about even when we talk about,
just
give me the E.
But even when we talk, whichever one is your thing. Whichever one is your thing, the diversity, the equity, or the inclusion, whichever one is your thing. Because again, we are not asking white people to give us money, right? We're not saying inclusion means we want white people to give us money. We're saying I made a product. Jaden made this good water. This is a good product. This is not a product that needs pity. It needs whatever. And guess what? Black people shop at Target. So we're saying we want to be on the shelf, in the place where our people are walking past it. That's what inclusion means. It means that you can't have black people walking up and down these aisles and the only thing they can find on the shelves are your things that you profit off of. Inclusion means my black product needs to be sitting right next to the Poland Spring, the Smart Water, and whomever else, because we also deserve to be on these shelves since our people make up part of the economy that keeps you going. Now, here's what I want to say. To get to your point about how do I feel hearing black women especially say, I put everything that I have on the line to get my product on these shelves, to be included. And going back to the Kyrie Irving example, while Kyrie has incredible sneakers, we already saw them. You have a pair or two pairs. or whatever. I don't got none. I don't know why I didn't ask for myself. Oh, because of my size. That's what it was. But anyway, he has a line that's doing well. When we were in whatever country in South Africa, people were like buying them. People were walking around in them. So we know that he's going to do well. But the distribution is different. And that's why people are making sure they get in Target and the big box stores, because the corner store, sneaker store, that's cool. You want to be there too. Just like Nike is in there too. Just like New Balance is in there too. In order to scale so that because in Monroeville, Alabama, where my family members live, they ain't got too many small sneaker stores. Maybe they got one, but not really, right? Mm-hmm. They might have a sneaker store that sells like Skechers and has some Skechers and something, or Skechers, I think, and that has something for people who have prosthetic legs or some, like elderly people, but they don't have a fly ass sneaker store. Should somebody open one, no problem. I agree with that 100%. But they got Walmart. Right? And so when people this is why people want to be in these places where the masses can get to their product. It builds generational wealth, and generational wealth ultimately helps people in our community, because our people generally hire their own people, right? And so I get the point. I get the point of why we want diversity, equity, and inclusion, because we are the engine that fuels these companies. But I just want to say this, because I know that there are people who want to know how I feel about the video that Tabitha Brown, who I absolutely adore. I love Tabitha Brown. I share her videos. I talk about what she said everywhere, because she is so authentic and beautiful. And Courtney Adiele, love Courtney. Courtney has supported us in the past. I've been in space with her. She has the main, the main choice. I support these women, and I see what they're saying, and that's why I stopped to listen, because I know what struggles they have been through in order to get to where they are today. But I want to frame this, and it's very important that people hear me. One, it is not smart. Because I heard that somewhere, that let's be smart. It is not smart to take your money and put it in your pocket when you feel you being disrespected. That is very smart. So it is not smart to say, I don't want to spend my money. And I'm going to tell you another thing. If you are spending your money in a store with a brand, or you are going into places and spaces and doing business with people, and they disrespect you, damn it, you should be emotional as a motherfucker. When people keep talking about, don't be so emotional, it's too much emotions, I am extremely emotional about the blood, sweat, and tears that I put into every dollar that comes into my bank account. Every dime I make, it's an emotional battle for me, because I know that if it were not for me getting my ass up out the bed every single day, hustling, dealing with situations and people that I don't want to deal with, feeling the pain of the struggle of what it takes to be able to survive. That is an emotional thing between me and my resources, right? So when you disrespect me, I emotionally can respond and say, you won't get a dime. Now, should leaders be strategic? Absolutely. But consumers have the right to decide, as has been said, both Courtney and Tabitha and others have said, do what you think is right. So nobody has said, don't do it. But when we said we were going to boycott Gucci, they told us, but Dapper Dan is there, and he has a partnership with them. We don't want to abandon Dapper Dan. When we said we were going to boycott Waffle House, they said, but what about the employees? We don't know. It might create this, that, and the third. The point is that every time we get ready to say we're not going to spend our money somewhere, we are told, but what about this, that, and the third? And brothers and sisters, ladies and gentlemen, I want to tell you today that I understand the challenges, because as Angelo said to us when we were meeting yesterday or whatever day, Black folks are always in a catch-22. We always between a rock and a hard place, trying to figure out how we're going to move forward. But the one thing I understand so clear about oppression and about the white man who believes that they have power and dominion over us is that they have studied our patterns, and they sit back and they watch us dismantle even our own people's frustration. We are able to dismantle a movement without even negative intentions. It's not even intentionally. We're just trying to figure out which way to go. So whenever black people get real mad and we ready to move, our own people are the ones who help to shift the energy. And we got to be real careful about that. Real careful about that. And so I personally am not going to Target, but I'm not going to join any particular call for a boycott yet. And that is because I want to go back to the teachings of Dr. King, Operation Breadbasket, when he was thinking through economic withdrawal, and they were using their economic power, and they had points that they studied, and they had points to their movement. And so there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And I'm not taking away strike for all people who are doing different things. You got people out here saying, I'm just going to walk in the door and I'm going to get just the black products. You got people who are saying they're going to do all types of things. But for us to have the impact necessary to show these people that we're not playing with them, we're going to need to come together, to sit down, to talk through what our steps are, what our goals are, and what it is that we're attempting to accomplish, and then make a move that our people can get behind and understand. Because right now, all this confusion, this one says this one says that, you lose people in the middle of it. Yep. And then I'm saying this last thing, and I promise I won't say another word.
You talking good, though.
No, but I just want to say one last thing. It is, and I struggle because the last thing that I want is to be at odds with our people. We've got enough. We got division. We have so many things that pulls us in different directions, and people just struggling. Some people are just trying to figure it out as we go along. All of us have those moments. And so I want to be conscious of that, because most of the people that I see involved in this truly love black people. Like, we love black people. And so I want to be conscious of that. But I want to say to you that movements, protest, and most importantly, fighting oppression is not convenient or comfortable. People will hurt. People will lose. People will suffer. But I promise you, for everything that I love, that if we stand up and we do it majority together, right? Even though some people may lose, the gain on the end is for a long stretch. I can't say a lifetime, because they always circle back. But it's a long stretch that we will be able to make gains, even with our own young people being able to look at us and see that we stood for something.
That's right.
And the idea that some of us are going to walk into Target and say, I'm just going to purchase the black brands, perhaps some people might do that. I think it's a lot of people that's going to do that. But the majority of our people will easily slip back into, well, they got the paper towels on sale today. They got this. A boycott is a boycott. If we say we don't shop at Target, we don't shop at Target. We do e-commerce. We figure out how to support people, but we cannot be walking in and out the door. Because another thing, I said I was going to say this, but another thing is that your presence is also a part, or lack thereof, is a part of a boycott. Right. Your presence, okay? So when you come through the door, that in and of itself
is a cosign.
That in and of itself, shows
and it deflates
where
other
you
people.
stand.
It deflates other people because the reality of the situation is there are people who are saying, I'm not going to the store. I'm going to boycott. And they watch you walk into that store and they just see like, damn, what
but
am
I need to go to Target anyway.
I need Target
it's the only
too.
store that I have anyway. And people
we need accountability
who are out
partners.
there,
we need people to hold us, to keep us strong. Like, you know, because a lot of people shopping is addictive.
Yeah.
You know, especially when you go to your Target and that's your favorite store, you go in every aisle and it got what you want and you used to that, and you're fighting against that urge, and you see somebody else that you know has that same urge to say, look, I know it's hard, but we ain't going in that Target. And y'all walk to another store and you start getting used to it.
Yeah.
We listen to me. I'm like you said, we have to be steadfast and we have to be unified in order to gain, because on the other side of it, it shows these people that they can't play with us. It shows them that, you know what, we have to make concessions, we have to come back, we have to rethink this, we have to have meetings because we moved a little too fast. And that's what history has taught us.
Yeah.
When we talk about Operation Breakbasket and we talk about Dr. King and the boycotts they had, it's because they were willing to sacrifice for a year. Mm-hmm. They were willing to say, I'm not going to do this. The majority of us, 99% of us are not going to. Sure, there was people who and
there are people right now who need the bread and they only have a Walmart or they only have a Target, and we understand that.
And you know what we have to do in our organizing, we have to figure out how do we get them some bread,
right?
And how do we get them to another store? You know, these as thoughtful leaders, this is what I want to talk about. I want to talk about, okay, we're boycotting, right? We're going to go outside and we're going to pick it in front of, we're going to pick a Target today, and we're going to go out and we're going to explain why we're not going to Target. We're going to tell people where else they can go. We're going to say, you know what, we're willing to set up. We have 2 or 3 cars a day that's willing to take you. If you can't get to another store, we're going to willing to drop. These are strategic things that we have to do to show community, to show unity, that we're not just doing something on a whim, but that's what the Panthers was doing. That's what Dr. King and them was doing. They were utilizing their resources. They were utilizing their bodies. They were able to give whatever we can. And that's when we come together like that, there's no way that they can beat us. Yeah. There is absolutely no way that they can beat us. So I'm saying to you, I already know what I'm willing to sacrifice. I know how far Tamika's willing to go and sacrifice on behalf of our people and to get the respect and the dignity, not even just the resource, but the dignity that we deserve. Because if they think that they can do whatever they want to you, then they will do whatever they want to you. So this is what it is. At this moment right now, there are a lot of people who are feeling confused. They are watching on the news. You see all these type of things. I'm telling you, take a deep breath. Take a deep breath and say the only thing that's going to win is our unity. When we show them that we're not breakable, when we show them that we're not weak, when we show them that we're not scared, then they have no choice but to cower. You know, they say if you look the devil in his eye, he will flee. And it's time for us to look the devil in his eye.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I think there's, I have a whole bunch more stuff here, but I think that we have covered it all, and I would circle back to my point that I am completely understanding and aware of how challenging and how complex these moments are in these situations, because they get us wrapped up in different ways.
They do.
You all. But I know that a boycott is a boycott. I know that everybody's not going to do it. I know that the people who are involved, these Black businesses who can be substantially hurt, they love Black people, at least the ones I know. They love Black people. And I also know that I personally, in the position that I'm in, I cannot sit by and not at least tell us where we are and make sure that people understand what's happening. Yeah, I know you can't just take your product off the stand, off the shelf, but there ought to be a morality clause for you too.
That's right.
There ought to be, if you are my partner, because Target was supposed to be these people's partner. They never said that Target Target was the employer of XYZ Black brands or XYZ women-owned brands. They said they were partners.
That's right.
Right? That's why one of the things that we've been told that's a big risk is that if you don't sell your product, you either owe them money or you end up with all the product and no money, right? So because that's what partnerships look like. But and by the way, people, some of these same brand owners, I'm talking about all of them. So please, let's not do the Tamika said this about Tabitha or this about so-and-so or such and such, because that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the whole pie, right? Mm-hmm. If you, black brand or black woman, was so much of a partner of Target's, why would they not pick up the phone and call you to tell you that this is what was going to happen? So already there's a breach in terms of what that partnership looks like, because they should have been sitting with you saying, we're doing this new thing. We're trying to figure out how we're going to go about it. We want to tell you that this is going to impact you, because there are people that, since I'm doing what I'm doing, they're not going to work with you no more. How do we know that that's the case? Because we discuss that in our board meetings all the time for Until Freedom and other organizations that I'm a part of. In fact, when I went to Savior's Day and was called anti-Semitic for being a supporter of the Nation of Islam, there were people who stopped working with me. People pulled their money. And there were people, I was on boards that I was asked to resign from, because the morality clause is that if you do something in this partnership that we have that harms the brand of another person, then how does that impact me and my organization, my company? This is what these people said to me. So if Target is your partner, why did they not even have the respect to pick up the phone and have a meeting with people and say, hey, this is what's going on, so that you could get prepared for what is to come? It didn't happen. It didn't happen.
So the partnership
has been breached. Okay, not wanting diversity, equity, and inclusion should at least be something that lawyers can look at to see if there's a morality clause that has been broken on their behalf.
That's right.
All of these things need to be done, and I'm sure it is being done. But the point that I'm making here is that the consumer who chooses to walk in the door and just do a little this and do a little of that, that is still crossing the picket line.
It is.
It's crossing the picket line. Sorry to tell y'all how we figure it out from here, from an e-commerce perspective, or what we need to do. We need to figure that out. I'm not going to Target, but I understand that there are some people who will say, well, I this is my product, or these are people that I respect, and I'm going to do that in the meanwhile. However, we as leaders need to come together to figure out what our people can do collectively to address what we know is an onslaught. That if other people in America have a cold, even the flu, we as black people are going to experience a pandemic. Mm-hmm. So we better be aware that what they're doing over here to homie, they gonna do to you
100 times worse.
So there's that.
On that note, we'll end this show without my I don't get it. And I had a lot of stuff to say about I don't get it, but I think this boycott and this situation with Target was extremely important for us to speak about. Please let us know how you feel. We want to hear all sides, especially from our people who are going to be impacted by what's going on in Target. Just let us know. Once again, I'm not going to always be right. Tamika D. Mallory's not going to always be wrong, but we will both always, and I mean always, be authentic.
Peace.
That's how we own it.